Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a license plate adapter for a car that wasn't originally sold in the United States. As you can see here, the bolts and the holes on the license plate just aren't lining up right, so you got to do something about that. Fortunately, the fix is pretty simple. As you can see here, I'm just going to take a piece of aluminum, line it up with the bolts on the car, and then with the holes on the license plate, mark those up real good and drill them out to make yourself a template. Of course, you can just use this as the adapter itself. I am going to be making a few more though, so I'll use this guy as a template. First, I got to make sure that lines up good with the bolts on the car and the holes on the license plate. So this is just going to be me showing you guys how I'm using this template to cut out a couple more of these adapters. You might be able to notice the template that I'm using is a little bit thicker aluminum than the one that I'm using for the adapters that I'm making. This isn't necessary, just happened to be what I had on hand when I made them, so that'll work fine like that. Now, you may be asking yourself, is this super necessary? Not really. There are a few different options that you have when you have a car that's license plate mounting area and your license plate holes don't line up. The first and easiest thing that you can do is only use one bolt to hold on your license plate. It looks super janky, but it'll do. I actually, when I first imported a car, that's how I was riding around, with just one license plate bolt holding the whole thing on. And you know what, if that's what you got to do and you don't have time to do something like this or to buy something, then that works fine. Obviously, there are adapters that you can buy already made. That would be another option. I chose not to do something like that just because I knew that I can make something on my own. This may not look as professional or work quite as well, but it'll get the job done and it'll look pretty good. Now here I'm just going to show you how all this hardware goes together. Basically all that you need is 4 bolts and 4 nuts. 2 of those bolts are going to be the bolts that screw into the car itself. So if you already have those from the car, even better, you won't have to worry about that. And really, those are the only bolts that you need specific, thread or whatever on. The rest of these bolts, as long as they screw into the nuts, that's all that you need. So in my case, the inside is going to be the one that's going to attach to the license plate, the inside bolts. So the outside ones are going to be the ones attaching to the car. These inside ones I'm going to be putting up towards me and then putting the nuts on right away. And what those nuts on the bottom do is they just help with clearance so that your license plate kind of isn't being bent in half between the 2 bolts going into the car, if that makes any sense. So take a look at that right there. That's kind of how it's going to look when it's on the car before you put the license plate on. And then we're going to slide the license plate on there. It's just going to go over the remainder of those 2 bolts. And then you're just going to take the nuts and screw them on. One thing that I would do a little bit differently if I were to do this again is I would get bolts that are a little bit longer. They were long enough to hold on the license plate and to get a decent amount of thread through them. But yeah, if I were to do it again, I'd get them just slightly longer so that I could really screw those nuts on a little bit better and have a little more confidence that that'll hold. Though I'm not super worried about it. So that's kind of how it's going to look. That's kind of how it's going to look from the back, though you won't be able to tell once it's on the car. And that one is done. So all that's left to do is unscrew these bolts and then put that license plate adapter on there. just a quick note while I'm getting this license plate put on. So as far as materials used, you can really use anything. I went with aluminum for a couple different reasons. It's relatively cheap, easy to cut, pretty sturdy. But you could of course also use steel, you could use wood, you could use plastic. Really anything you could get your hands on that's going to be sturdy enough to hold a license plate, which doesn't weigh a lot, so it could, the possibilities are just about endless. Alright, so that's one all done. That's how it's going to look from the top, but from the front it looks pretty dang clean. So all that's left to do is to cut out a couple more templates and get that back license plate on. Alright, so there it is, all done. If you found this video useful, please give me a like and drop a comment on what you might do differently. Alright, thank you for watching. Have a good day.